Hey there, I'm Julie Barrett, founder of Conservative Ladies of Washington, and I am back with another bill of the day. It is Saturday, February 3rd, and this bill actually has a hearing on Monday, February 5th. So we need you to take action on this right away. So this bill, it's cutoff. Session cutoff is happening. So everybody, it's like a mad dash to get their bills across the finish line so that they stay alive for this session and they move over to the other chamber. So this bill was dropped last night, Friday night, and scheduled for hearing on Monday, a public hearing on Monday. In that same meeting, they will have an executive session, which is when they will talk about the bill and then vote whether or not to pass it out of committee. This is happening in the House Appropriations Committee, which is kind of the last place it goes before it would go to a full floor vote of the House. And then if it passes in the House, then it would go over to the Senate. So this bill is House Bill 2494, and it is about funding public education in Washington state. This happened with a similar bill in 2022. It was the same first Friday, first Saturday of February, rushing to get a bill through before cutoff. It's number House Bill 1590, and I'll link it down below in the description box so you can go read it. But basically what House Bill 1590 did was it funded the empty seats of the mass exodus of students who unenrolled in public education during that COVID period. So it allowed the state to use the pre-COVID enrollment numbers from 2019 to fund the public schools. Well, since then, even more students have been unenrolled. King 5 reported that over 60,000 Washington students have been unenrolled in public schools in just the last couple of years. That's huge. And so the legislature is trying to compensate for that, where they're also compensating for school levies that are not passing. This session, there were a number of different bills to lower the threshold to make it easier to pass levies. And none of those really advanced forward. They would have to make an amendment to the state constitution, which didn't seem like it was going to be a popular thing to do. Plus, then it would have to go to a vote of the people, which if they're not passing levies, they probably aren't going to vote for this constitutional amendment to lower the threshold. So 1590, the funding for that expires at the end of this school year. So the legislature needs to do something to continue the increase in funding. So House Bill 2494 would pick up where 1590 is going to leave off. It would begin funding in September of 2024. So for the 2024-25 school year, it's going to cost taxpayers a lot of money. In the first biennium, it's about $1.2 billion. And then it goes up from there to about $2.5 billion. And this bill would provide more money for material supplies, operating costs. There's no accountability. There's no measure of impact for student success or achievement. And one of the things I've noticed this session is that none of the lawmakers are really talking about the fact that students are really struggling, and there is a huge lack of academic success. In the OSPI report card says that only 50.7% of Washington students are meeting state standards for ELA. In math, it's even lower at 39.7, and science is 42.9. They don't want to address these abysmal test scores. So they're just throwing money at pet projects and more mandates and DEI and SEL, all the things that really are not helping students. And as they've pushed more of this indoctrination into the public schools, we've seen an increase in youth mental health problems. We've seen a huge decrease in academic achievement and success. And they just want to push kids over the finish line, get kids passed from one grade to the next grade, get them graduated, and calling that success. And so this bill is really bad. It's going to cost the taxpayers a lot of money, and they want to push it through without you knowing about it. And so people always ask me, well, do they even care what we think? Do they care what we say? I believe that while they're going to do what they want anyway, I do believe that there is a great opportunity here to put political pressure on these people and let them know that this is not something that the citizens want and that we are watching. It's also an election year, so this might signal to them that it's not politically advantageous for them to dip into the taxpayers' pockets at a time when most Washington citizens are already struggling as is. The state has a huge surplus of funds, and so this is not the way to go. You also have, think of these 60,000 kids who have been unenrolled from public school. How about giving some funding to those families for school choice and for options, instead of taxing parents who have removed their kids from public schools? How about give them some additional choices? So there's a lot of different things that I think citizens would prefer that money be spent on. Another point to note here is that there was a bill that is advancing, I believe it's House Bill 2038, which would create a survey to find out why parents are pulling their kids from public schools. And in our opinion, this is a huge waste of time and money when it's clear that these programs and systems are not working for most Washington students. And instead of fixing the problem, they want to create work groups and studies and all these things that really don't get to the root of the problem. And so it's time for the legislators to stop funding these pet projects and get to the root of the problem and create a successful environment for the majority of Washington students. So what can you do? If you've only got 30 seconds or less, you can sign in con and note your position for the legislative record. Now, the legislators do get access to the list of people that signed in, so they can see if you are in their district. And I think that's a really useful tool as well, for them to see that just average citizens, the taxpayers, are paying attention to this. Because most of the time we see special interest groups, unions, and things like that are signing in on these, not typically your average citizen. So there's your 30-second sign in, and I do believe that is a very powerful thing to do. You can also sign up to testify. It's a Monday, of course, at 10:30, so most taxpayers are at work earning money. If you have the opportunity, you can sign up to testify on Zoom, or you can actually go to Olympia and testify in person. So those are your options. And then as this bill moves forward, we will change our call to action so that you can send emails to your legislators, and depending on where the bill is in the process, the action step will change. So we'll keep you up to date with that. Be sure that you're subscribed to our Substack, because that is the best way to get the latest updates and breaking information on things that are happening in Olympia. You can also support our work by becoming a paid subscriber to our Substack. That's the same as being a member of our organization. And you can also kick us a donation. That helps. We are working hard for you to bring you the most up-to-date information, give you transparency on what's happening in Olympia. And so every little bit helps. We appreciate all of you that have supported us. We appreciate all of you that are taking action. Click those links below. Make sure you share this video, and I look forward to seeing you again next time.